hat es erwähnt, es braucht Strategien bottom-up, top-down, eine Strategie oder eine Übersicht, wie das Gesundheitswesen aussieht und ein branchenübergreifender Ansatz fürs Gesundheitswesen, das kriegen wir vom nächsten Referenten. Seine Passion, das nehme ich ihm ab, er steht dafür mit Leib und Seele, ist, das Gesundheitswesen auf Vordermann zu bringen, weil er der Überzeugung ist, dass wir noch nicht dort sind, wo wir sein sollten. Was er nicht mag, ist Neglectance und er ist gestern für uns angereist. Ich werde jetzt auf Englisch wechseln, damit das gut für allseits verständlich ist. Lucien Engelen is CEO of Transform Health and a speaker. He is a healthcare innovation strategist for Center for Edge Deloitte, Vodafone Centers for Health, Laurentius Medical Center and many more. He works at the intersection of innovation and strategy, advising boards, governments, companies and professionals. Ich habe das gesehen, ist bestens bereits schon hier vernetzt. His consulting focus on initiating change, explaining what it takes to do so, and is based on decades of experience in local, regional, and international settings. As a founder and former director of the Reshape Center at Radboud University Medical Center and advisor of the board of directors, Lucien has extensive experience in the academic field of healthcare. Translated with a DeepL translator-free version. So this is not intended for the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the one and only Lucien Engelen?
Thank you very much, Fabian, for that great introduction created by ChatGTP, probably. I'm here to talk about a plumber's problem, because I really think that healthcare really has a plumber's problem. The thing is that in healthcare, we do things like this. We try to patch everything that goes wrong. We try to prelude in the things that are coming. But actually, what would you do if you see something like this? I think all of us would reach out for the tap and try to close the tap in front of the leak. And that is exactly what's not happening in healthcare. Not happening in health, I should say. Because what creates your health? 20% is your DNA code. 20% is your postcode. In the Netherlands, it matters where you were born. In some places, it matters like 5 years of life expectancy, 15 years quality of life where you were born. And there's one city in the Netherlands, in the south of the Netherlands actually, where the average life expectancy is 9 years less than the average Dutch citizen. And then we got your behavior. What do you do? What do you eat? Do you work out? And all these things together. And then we got a small combination of the interaction of all of those. What's missing here? I think healthcare is missing. And rightfully so. Because healthcare only matters for 6% on your health. So tell me, why is it that 90% of the budget gets poured into those 6%? That's what I call a plumber's problem. We should reach out for the front of it. This is a slide that I've been using since 2017, where I said by 2030, if everything goes in the way that we do it right now, we will have a doubling in healthcare demand, shortage of skilled personnel, burnout rates going through the roof, and patients demanding a different kind of care. Healthcare system will implode. Little did I know that during the pandemic, this is exactly what happened. And in the surroundings of the discussions and debates we had about Code Black, which was a temporary phase during this pandemic, if we don't do anything, this is what we will face by 2030. Because healthcare faces, or is in the midst actually, of a perfect storm. From all kinds of aspects, from all kinds of challenges, we're being challenged by the day now coming out of this pandemic into a system that already was under pressure. Organizational under pressure. In the Netherlands alone, 125,000 nurses shortage. Financial, the average Dutch hospital has a net revenue about 2%. And now energy prices has gone through the roof. Employment challenges, as we all know. There's more people running out of the healthcare system than people are coming in, apart from the lag time that is needed for that. So that's the thing that we see happening on a daily basis. And one of the things we should do is we should look out more, should look into the open. During my tenure at Radboud University Medical Center, I know how that works. I was in the university hospital at 7 a.m., artificial light, air conditioning, and went back to my home at like 7, and I thought the world has stopped meanwhile. But that's not the case. So if we look outside in terms of digitization, we know how that works. Do you got slides for me, guys? I got my clock over here, that's good. Okay, that's good. So let's have a peek outside as well. And we know how that works in terms of digitization outside. We pay with plastics. Plastics? I'll pay with my phone, with my watch, and in a couple of months I'll pay with my eyes, just like I'm opening up my smartphone. If we do shopping, we shop online. In the Netherlands, there's a company called Picnic that determines within a window of 12 minutes exactly when they will bring the groceries to your home. And in the US, if you pay $9 extra, Amazon will put it in your fridge. That's the reality. And if we travel, I've traveled in here from Düsseldorf, we need digital boarding passes. And hopefully, within short notice, we will become grandpa and grandmother, and I will talk to my grandkids and say, Grandpa had this little booklet. In the US and California, your driver's license sits in your app. And very soon, also your passport will. So those are things that are changing. And actually, I think we're living in this digital society already, where things become interesting. And we're now at this crossroad in healthcare. Are we going to add digital to our current practice? Or would we flip it around to redesign everything grounds up from a digital perspective, unless science proves us wrong, unless you as a professional think that's not a good idea, or unless the patient would say, I don't like it. Still, some people think that a digital strategy is putting stuff in an app. It's not. This is the new mantra of the Dutch Ministry of Health for healthcare, to keep the flooding of healthcare within boundaries. You will have to do it self, if possible. You will have to do it at home, if possible. And you will have to do it digital, if possible. And always that if possible is added, which also has something to do about the interface. And I'll be sharing the slides, by the way, afterwards. So the interface. In healthcare, we have to explain everything we do digitally. How different is that in the rest of society? And if I go back into the early days, where the physician would visit your home and all the technology that he had would fit in his doctor's bag, nowadays we need to have big buildings to put in all the big machines. Meanwhile, machines get smaller. Look at our desktop. Everything that was on there now fits in a phone, in a watch, and very soon in glasses, and very soon also in lenses. And if I would trust Elon Musk, there's a little button back in the head of mine with Neuralink, we'll put connection into it. That's the reality. And things get so small, and I like this, I needed to show this one, like a small robot picks up a sperm cell and brings it into the egg cell. This is what we're able to do now, and we still cannot create a digital healthcare system? Come on. We're living this fourth industrial revolution where everything gets connected to everything. And Moore's law, many of you might know, where the opportunities and the capabilities of chips were doubling each and every 2 years. Now the inventor of ChatGPT says the universal intelligence will double every 18 months in the next couple of times. That's the reality that we live for. And we see this happening with all kinds of technology like smartwatches. By the way, don't own any shares or interest in the companies that I'm bragging about. But like Apple with the EKG and saturation, and now very soon also the glucose level embedded in watches. They got medication control built into it. And companies like Philips have invented an ultrasound knob that connects to your smartphone and being able to run these kind of things in GP offices, for instance. And we're now working in the Netherlands with these guys. These are digital humans you can interact with. It sees you, it hears you, has emotional recognition, speaks 14 languages fluently. You as a patient can choose whether male, female, gender neutral. It's up to you, what kind of ethnicity. And this is the world's first digital pharmacist that I've installed in a hospital in Nijmegen, saving the hospital pharmacist up to 7 hours a day, not keeping on the phone, for instance. Let me ask you a question. What do you think this is? Anybody in the audience? So much for interaction, Fabian. So let me help you a bit. This is the world's first robot, fully capable of drawing blood, totally autonomously. And it's been tested in 2 hospitals in the Netherlands, and the aim is to put it in retail stores, to prevent patients to come to the hospital, to the clinic, and do that in rural areas, for instance. This is an interesting as well. WeThings now created the first urine lab that will put in your closet. You will pee on it, and all kinds of metrics will be yours. Preventing people to come to bring their urine into the hospital and to the practice for 30 days on a row. Just imagine how that works. So the thing is that we'll go from spot measurement in clinics to a full continuously stream of data collected by all kinds of metrics. This is how I slept, by the way, tonight in my hotel. If you would be interested how I did the whole rest of the week, this is like it looks like. This is my month. You can also see my pulse temperature, my gait, for instance, and I also, for your convenience, took an EKG this morning as well. The reason for showing this is a phone company out of Cupertino in the US, bringing these kind of data to patients. It's not us in healthcare anymore. It's different kind of people that understand interfaces and all kinds of stuff. And they now also give me the opportunity to share that data with my family. Whatever my heart rate goes astray, they will be signaled, and also, for instance, to my GP. And with augmented reality, we're able to watch football matches on our phone with all kinds of statistics, meanwhile looking also at the match on stage, which gives me a bit of a Star Trek kind of thing. Scotty, beam me up. So my assertion is data will change from historic data, scientific literature, into recent data, into real-time data, and we will be able to predict stuff. I come from an ambulance history, and I will meet the day that somebody would call upon my front door, and I would open up and see 2 former colleagues and one of my former cars. I would say, hey guys, what's up? And one of those would say, hey, we're here for the cardiac arrest. And I would say, there's no cardiac arrest. And one of those would say, Lucien, take a seat. Within 2 minutes 50, this is going to be the case. That's the thing that we're talking about. We will be present when somebody gets sick, opposed to now fixing the problem in the end. The current system is unsustainable. We know technology is available, and the consumer, I'm using consumer on purpose, is awakening, because your patient is also a consumer in every day. That's the reason for creating a huge program in the Netherlands that calls Healthcare Meets Retail, with big companies stepping into it, like supermarkets in terms of personalized food, prior to an intervention in the hospital, chemo, and all kinds of other things. Working with banks, we know that patients with a high financial debt are prone to use 40% more healthcare. So let's fix that up front. And from a logistics perspective, if you look from a patient perspective to healthcare, 80% is blunt logistics, has nothing to do with medicine. You need to take a car, find the hospital, last parking spot, rush to the appointment from 10 a.m., 2 minutes prior to 10, you're at the front desk and somebody would say, he's running late, just take a seat. That's the reality. So now we're up for our Copernican moment. Copernicus proved in the mid-1500s that the sun was not circling the earth, but the other way around. Still, the patient circles the professional, and now we got the opportunity to have a and. It also is possible to do it the other way around. Like with a self-measurement kiosk in our hospital, where the patient would step up, it will take your blood pressure, oxygenation level, weight, and been sent into the hospital system, and very soon in retail clinics. We now see ophthalmologists in the Dutch healthcare system referring to a medical specialist as opposed to from the GP directly to the medical specialist. And during the pandemic, by the way, in terms of digitization, we saved as much as 3 million kilograms of carbon dioxide by not bringing patients into hospitals. So that's another one to take into account as well. So the crocodile is this. We know the demand is going through the roof. We know that the number of people working in healthcare is downgrading, and by 2035, we will have a total standstill. And that total standstill needs to be changed upfront, where we also see that, for instance, the use of the data in the European health data space will give patients their own data that they can share with whomever they think is interested in it. It will create better diagnostics and innovation and the standardization throughout Europe. With companies like Apple, again, creating those kind of data and sending the data to the patient in a world that's already online 24/7. So the speed is also staggering, where the airline industry took 70 years to reach 100 million people. Facebook does that in 4 years and Instagram in 2 months. So we've seen this happening in other industries, travel, music, media, and healthcare is next. And I've learned early on as a business company that if somebody's talking about me at a table and I'm not sitting at that table, I am on the menu. Healthcare is strongly on the menu as we speak. And for that, we really need to up our game, because big companies are now stepping into that data model. We also see that Amazon now gives you a $5 monthly subscription to take the 40 most used generic drugs by mail, all you can eat. This is staggering. This is a reality, guys. This is today, not tomorrow. We see that one of the big analysts for Apple says Apple will create its own healthcare insurance program by 2024. TikTok, as a company, has bought 13 Chinese hospitals. So we are living in a very interesting time. And if you know this picture, it says something about your day and age, Fabian, as mine as well. So wrapping up, I think things are changing. Healthcare will become delocalized. We are going to do stuff in a different place. It will be democratized. Your patients will have more data on a system than all of us together. It will become digital, and new entrants will really change the way of it. Last question to you guys, and last slide. What kind of company will offer you, for a 150 euros, a full total body scan with 50 million data points? What kind of company would that be? Anyone guessing? Probably you wouldn't guess that that would be Spotify. But that's the reality. The founder of Spotify has created a new healthcare company in Stockholm, opened up 2 weeks ago. For 2 hours, they got 5,000 admittance already, and they're up to running that across Europe. That's the reality that we live in, so let's close the tap. Fabian.
Thank you so much, Lucien. Thanks so much. Inspiring insights. Now, we just, let's say, go for questions. We have time to do so. We are shocked by the state that healthcare is in, and there is so much potential in it. Why do you believe, so I start with the question, why do you believe is there so much reluctance in changing matters in spite of all the means in terms of technology would be available? There's a McKinsey study in Switzerland 1.5 years ago came out. It says, if all the technical tools that already have been available back then would be used, 8.2 billion Swiss francs could be saved. Now still little is being done, let alone mentioning that the patient is not really in the center. Why don't we act and really change for the good?
From my standpoint of view, we always bring up money is the problem, or legislation is the problem, or technology is the problem. Well, the actual answer should be, it's us. It's culture within healthcare. If we talk about innovation in healthcare, everybody always thinks that the other one needs to change. We're doing the things correctly. So it has something to do with authority, anxiety to lose your job. Nobody is going to lose their job in healthcare the next 100 years, let's be honest, with all the work that needs to be done. But it's more like, this is change management. This has nothing to do with all the former things that I've stated. The patient already is there. Sometimes people say, well, my patients are elderly patients, and they're sitting in their own homes. And I said, yes, that's correct. But the reality is that the first Rolling Stones fans get admitted to elderly homes. And they got smartphones and tablets and what have you. So there's a disconnect between society at one end and healthcare at the other one. For good reasons from the old days, but we need to up our game. And that's also why I think we should invest in cross-society aspects and make sure that we do these things accordingly.
Does it help if young digital natives stream into medicine themselves?
The thing is that I don't think it's age-related, Fabian. This is a question that we often get. In my practice, I don't see any real differences. In the colleges that I was able to give at university, all the freshmen came into the first conference with me. 12 weeks later, they have been changed in different kind of people because we're training them by the old models. We've changed the curriculum in Nijmegen in 2015. The first students would graduate in 2022. So there's a huge slack time into it.
Absolutely. So, Lucien, we're very glad that you will be available for questions right after the systems block. That is at 10:20, if I remember correctly. So meet the speaker. Use the opportunity for those who don't dare yet to ask questions. He will be there and taking his time, and we are very glad that you're doing so. Thank you so much, Lucien Engelen.